Welcome to the Flourish.Academy podcast. My name is Heather Loftinen, and I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Mara Chick. We believe everyone can be successful in any endeavor they pursue, whether that's personal or professional. By constantly nourishing your mind, reading books, you can impart wisdom and tactics into your life and business. In this podcast, we will be discussing the books that have impacted us and share actionable strategies at the end of each episode to help you succeed.
So basically, we're doing all the reading, so you don't have to. You can just sit and listen to us. Today, we are continuing our discussion of I always like to say the big potential because I feel like it is the big potential, but it's Big Potential by Shawn Achor. This is we devoured this book, and we are continuing our look into, what are we, chapter 3 now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so straight from the book, and this is, this really got me, okay? Even in prison, one of the worst places in the world, the strongest form of punishment is putting someone in isolation. And yet, ironically, at a time when technology and the internet have enabled us to be more connected than at any other period in human history, a time when social networks allow us to communicate instantly and seamlessly with someone across the globe whom we have never met, I would argue that we are starving for real connection more than ever. And at the same time, we are only now beginning to understand the full impact that the networks of people around us have on our performance, well-being, happiness, and success. The height of your potential is predicted by the people who surround you. So the key to creating a super bounce for your potential is to surround yourself with people who will lift you up rather than drag you down, because as you'll learn in this chapter, surrounding yourself with other elevated people can provide the energy needed to lift yourself to new heights. It's lonely as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it can be very lonely.
It's hard. We talked about this before when I was going through setting up my business and stuff, and knowing that I wanted to better myself. It's hard because a lot of people don't want to be, they just want to be where they are, stagnant, and that's okay for them, but it was not okay for me. And it is hard when you want to be better and everyone else just wants to be the same. Because I was always feeling I was trying to pull people up to where I wanted to be, and they didn't. It was the tug of war, So I just went into my isolation. I'm like, okay, well then I'll just do this all on my own, and then quickly realized, well, I called you many a time saying I don't have any friends anymore.
Very upset. Right. And in that tug of war, it's a very good analogy because you think that you can help pull them along, but you cannot. And they will pull you down and you will falter as a result. Mm-hmm. Now, so there are two types of people. There are people three types. There are people that want to grow and learn. There are people who don't. And again, that's fine. At least they know. But the tricky part is the people who say they want to grow and develop, but their actions show you something differently. But if you just listen to them, you think, okay, they're on board. We're gonna elevate ourselves. We're gonna work together. But then their actions, you think, oh, maybe not. That's actually even trickier to kind of parse out and make sure that you're not spending time with those people.
Those people. Those. Heather says don't hang out with those people.
Not if you want to grow and develop it.
Okay, moving straight to page 68. And we're going to talk about sports for a second. This may be the only sports reference we ever make on this podcast. Occasionally, superstar players will carry the team on their shoulders for the last 2 minutes before the clock runs out. But the only reason they have the strength to do so is that they shared in the energy expenditure throughout the game. In work, life, sports, or anywhere else, the way to win is to create a system in which members can assist each other, carry each other on their shoulders, and make each other better. You can be a superstar. You just can't be one alone. What you need is a star system, a constellation of positive, authentic influencers who support each other, reinforce each other, and make each other better. Okay, now, make a sports reference, okay? So I feel like this is all about working in teams with people, and we do this a lot in our mastermind with all these people that are helping each other out, sharing ideas, highly motivated, reinforcing decisions and all that. But I was thinking about basketball.
Really?
And, yeah, really.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes, really. So I love watching March Madness and NCAA basketball, collegiate sports. I don't like watching the NBA because I feel like the NBA is all about the individual. Here's our superstar player and he's going to score the most points. But when you're watching college basketball, it's all about the team and taking the shots and, working together. And I think about Christian Leitner, who, if you've never watched the 30 for 30, which you probably don't even know what that is, it's an ESPN documentary series, because
I have no clue what
you're
you're
not
even
as
talking
hip as I am. Okay.
Okay.
But Christian Leitner, there's a 30 for 30 documentary called Everyone Hates Christian Leitner. I used to like Christian Leitner, but he was really good college basketball player because he worked really well with his team and they all got along, even though he was a kind of jerk. But for the team, but then when he got to the NBA, it was just like, wah, wah, wah. Because it wasn't about the team, it was about the individual.
And that just doesn't work.
Yeah, no. So there's my one sports reference, okay? And I'm done, tapped out for the year. Thank you.
Very good.
Yes. Okay, moving straight to page 70. Okay, just being around negative, unmotivated people drains our energy and potential. Surrounding ourselves with positive, engaged, motivated, and creative people causes our positivity, engagement, motivation, and creativity to multiply. In my work with companies, I created a formula to highlight the basic principle at the heart of this strategy. The big potential equals individual attributes times positive influences minus negative influences. Now, there is some algebra that has to go on here because it's positive influences minus negative influences. That result times individual attributes.
I love math and I love formulas because if you tell me what to do, I can do it. And this makes sense to me. So you have certain positive influences in your life and you have negative influences. Do the positives outweigh the negatives? I sure hope so. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a negative result. So let's say you have 5 positive people and 3 negative. Well, then you're left with 2 times your individual attributes, whatever that may be, your number's going to be lower. So obviously you want to have more positive than negative in your life. And he goes on to say, still on page 70, negative influencers sap your energy. Positive people actually provide energy when you are low, which helps you more effectively solve problems, deal with challenges, and work toward your goals.
He talks about this term he calls super bounce. So if you surround yourself with people with positive traits, you can super bounce your potential. So Heather and I always want to be super bouncers. We're going to start using Shawn's reference here. I'm going to be a super bouncer. How about
I would
you?
love to be a super bouncer.
I think that's a cool concept of just watching someone's ball just bounce and bounce and
right.
bounce. That's pretty cool.
He talks about it relative to a trampoline. If you jump on a trampoline by yourself, you can get to a certain height. But if you jump on a trampoline with someone else, you can super bounce and go 2-3 times as high because of the way the bouncing is occurring.
He's pretty good with the metaphors.
He's great. I love this book.
It's just, wow.
Really good.
Okay, we're going to move right to page 73. Okay. Given how contagious negativity is, surrounding yourself with optimists is like giving yourself a flu shot against stress and apathy. Thus, our very first task is to seek out positive people who help us sharpen our tools and build our strengths, both at work and in life. Before passing away, Jim Rohn, Heather's best friend, added that.
He just doesn't know it.
Yes, because he's dead.
Because he's dead.
Okay, sorry. Back to Shawn. Before passing away, Jim Rohn, the wildly successful motivational author, built his business on the idea that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Now, make a very quick Venn diagram of your life with 3 circles. Who leaves me feeling good? Who strengthens me? Who makes me hope for more? Which of your 5 people fit into all 3 categories? These are your positive influencers. Most likely, these will be the people who are self-aware, open, compassionate, present, resilient, and optimistic. Who are your positive influencers? Do you know who they are?
Well, I have not done this exercise with the Venn diagram, but you better believe that I'm going to because I think it's really powerful. So years ago, I led a business boot camp, and one of the first things I had everyone do, I would ask them to write down the 5 people they spent the most time with. And by the way, I did indeed get it from Jim Rohn. And I wouldn't tell them why they were doing it. I would just say, write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. I would give them a few minutes to really think about this and write it down. And then I would ask them to look at that list. I would say, I want you to look at that list. I want you to picture those people in your mind. Picture them right now. Look at that list. And I took it very slowly and very seriously. And then I said, that's who you're becoming. Are you okay with that? And a lot of times, guess what? There were tears. Because no, they weren't okay with it. Okay, you're becoming those people. That's pretty serious. So if you don't want to become that person that's on your list, then you need to change some relationships.
And we talked about this in a prior episode about like how should you limit contact with your mother.
We did.
Because it's very important to watch who you're spending time with. I mean, those people are going to be influencing you either positively or negatively. So if you can't kind of cut relations with your mom completely, you can limit what you say to her, what you share
Your
with
contact,
her.
for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to move straight to page 77. Now, just bear with me. I'm going to talk about a couple things here. The more diverse your network, the better you will be able to engineer serendipity. I like that word.
I do too.
Serendipity. In the luck factor, Dr. Richard Wiseman argues that the key to luck is to vary your relationships and routines so that you have access to new ideas and possibilities. Having too many similar people in your network means you're leaving all kinds of doors unopened and all kinds of opportunities unutilized. If you have 12 good friends at work and they are all in accounting, for example, you are never going to hear about the job opening in the marketing department or get invited to work on that big initiative with the project development team. But it's not enough to cultivate a star system of diverse people. You also want to choose people who serve diverse purposes in your life. To do so, I suggest a mix of 3 types of positive influencers: pillars, bridges, and extenders. And I'm just going to go through real quick. Pillars are those who are a rock for you in tough times. These are the people who have your back, regardless of anything. Bridges are connectors to new people or resources outside of your existing ecosystem. A bridge might be the person to invite you into a club or committee or a basketball league, or they might be the one to introduce you to investors who might be interested in funding your project. You'll know someone is a bridge if their connections and resources do not overlap entirely with yours. And then finally, third, extenders are positive influencers who push you out of your comfort zone. This could take the form of a mentor or a friend who has a skill set or personality very different from yours.
This is really important.
A lot to digest, but this is big stuff.
Essentially, he's saying, make it a point to talk to someone that you normally don't talk to, someone that is outside of your sphere, because we tend to gravitate towards the people that are like us.
How are you going to grow if you do that?
You can't.
I mean, you can't.
You'll just get
if
affirmed.
everyone's like you, we're just going to be...
Right.
We'll be doing the same thing.
So you want to find diverse industries or areas or people that you want to try to insert yourself into and talk to get new ideas, to see things differently. Otherwise, you're just going to recycle the same ideas and the same thoughts. Very important.
This is why I love the mastermind, because we have people that are not, it's not just photographers. There are some photographers, there's some artists, there's travel people.
Yes.
Like it's an amazing mix of people, but you need that outsider's look into your life and business, because it's someone like they might have a trait that you're like, oh, I need that in my life. You would never know that if you didn't talk to that person.
You have to. That's why something you said about when you read about bridges, you'll know someone is a bridge if their connections and resources do not overlap with yours, meaning you wouldn't know that person. There's actually a really good book about this. It's called The Power of Who by Bob Bodine.
Oh, yeah.
And he says you already know everyone you need to know because they know people, but connectors, bridges, so that you can meet people in different industries. Oh, that's so interesting. I'm not familiar with that industry. Can you tell me more? How do you do marketing in that industry? And you never know about the creative idea that you might get, or that might become like something you would never explore otherwise. But now that you have this new person, you have new ideas. It's just very important.
Genius. Okay. So get to talking to people.
Get to people you wouldn't normally talk. An elderly neighbor with a different background, different experiences. Someone in Walmart. I mean, be careful. But you could meet somebody.
Because I go to Walmart at like 7 a.m. when no one is around.
No, okay, that's smart. That's pretty smart.
I'll go to Target any time of the day, but Walmart I only go at 7 in the morning. And there's the same greeter guy. And I'm like, hello, Bob. How are you this morning? It's the only person I talk to.
Right.
Okay, page 80 for you, Heather.
Page 80. So we were talking about connectors. Okay. The more connections we add to our network, the harder it is to find a node that remains isolated. Every time we help people around us increase the breadth and variety of people in their life, even by getting to know just one more person, we dramatically strengthen the entire system. The more nodes you have, the less chance there is of someone falling through the cracks, and thus the greater your resilience in tough times.
Ooh.
Meet different people.
Just meet people. Okay. Heather went to...
I went to a business conference last week in Louisville, Kentucky. I drove down there by myself. It's about 5.5, 6 hours from Pittsburgh. And I went to meet people. I sat in the very front row. I had a VIP ticket. I had a VIP lunch, and I met a bunch of overachievers that I love. High achievers. Let's not say over. Is there such a thing? No. High achievers. It was a conference for women, so there were a lot of women, and they were all in various different industries. It was fascinating. I made some connections, got some cards, and I'm in touch with some women, and we're just going to try to help each other. Isn't that
That's
amazing?
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad. See, you're pushing yourself out of, and that's what you need to do. Like, you can't meet people in your comfort zone, like, because you're seeing the same people over and over and over again. So if you like to sit and be comfortable, you ain't gonna get anywhere.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and then I'm not gonna read from the book, but pages 81 through 84, Shawn talks about reciprocal bonds. That is a tongue twister word for me too. But it's really about give and take, and don't just be a taker from people. So when you find people that are in your network and you want to develop a relationship with them, you have to give as much as you take. So make sure it's a relationship that's mutually beneficial for both of you. If you have someone that's going to be listening to you, then you need to listen to that person as well. It can't just be you taking everything.
Be aware.
Yes. And you can find people that, you can be super open with. You can't hold things back. And that's what I feel like with Heather. When I talk to her, I don't really hold anything back. I, like, a couple weeks ago walked into her office and I'm like, I'm just a glorified secretary.
There was an incident.
She's like, okay, what can I do to help you?
Let's talk this through.
So it's like, but I know that I can just express that to you without, like, judgment, and you're just going to listen to me, and then we're going to work through it. So you have to find somebody that you can be very open with, that can just listen to you. And sometimes I feel like as people, we always want to fix someone's problem, but sometimes we just need someone to listen to us. And
isn't that usually the case?
Yeah.
A lot of times there may not even be a solution. So let's just talk it through, and I'll feel better about it.
Once calm down a little bit. Okay.
Right.
Tone it down, Mara. That's what Heather
control your emotions.
And just be authentic with people. Like, we try to hide ourselves a lot. I've noticed this about a lot of women. So be very authentic. Don't be someone you're not, because with those people, they really need to know who you are to be able to, like, help you and help you grow. And when you find those super bouncers, those are very meaningful relationships. So you want to cultivate that relationship and really take care of that person. Heather, if she asks me to do anything, I do it because she's a super bouncer and I enjoy her. And our relationship is very meaningful to me. So when she asks me to come over and do yard work for her, I don't even do yard work in my own house.
This is actually true.
I was stripping out weeds.
This is a true story.
Over
Thank you.
4th of July weekend a couple years ago.
You were. Thank you. And it made a difference because you're a super bouncer. And thank you for your kind words. I agree completely. And if we have a discussion that we need to work through, I believe this relationship is worth it. So we will get down to the nitty gritty and deal with it and get through it. Now, if you're working around negative people and it's not worth it, sometimes you need to know when to move on, and you need to be able to have discernment about what relationships are worth putting in the effort to cultivate so that you can super bounce, and which ones you might need to distance yourself from. That's discernment.
Oh man, this powerful stuff.
It's very good.
Okay, as we end our discussion on chapter 3, a couple strategies for you. So one, we talked earlier about loneliness as entrepreneurs or people who are wanting to, like, advance themselves. So I really want you to work hard to combat your loneliness. Make an effort to call friends and have coffee dates and things like that, but just make sure you're talking to people that are not going to bring you down. Someone that can hear what's going on with you and just listen, but be positive, not negative. The one thing I try I'm very careful with my words, but when someone's explaining a situation to me about, like, man trouble or something, I don't ever really say, like, oh, he's such a jerk, because I'm not going to perpetuate that negativity. But you can say that, but I'm just gonna be like, this situation sucks. But I'm not going to, like, say, going to bring someone else down. So just, listen to people and let them talk.
That's good advice.
And then the second thing, you're going to do the Venn diagram.
Very good.
So we're going to start with Heather's. Heather talked earlier about her boot camp and how she just has you write down the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Really take a look at that list. Do you want to become those people? This was a powerful exercise for me in your boot camp, because I was like, oh,
Yikes.
I gotta make some changes.
Right.
And I did.
Right.
And then I want you to actually do the Venn diagram. So think about these 3 questions. Who leaves you feeling good? Who strengthens you? And who makes you hope for more? And find people that fit into all 3 of those categories. Those are your super bouncers. Those are the people you need to be spending the most time with.
Yes.
Okay. And if you don't know those people, hey, send an email and get to know somebody. Ask someone out for coffee. It's okay. It's like we're going on a first date.
Right.
Remember when I first seen you, and you're like, "Hi, I'm Mara. I think maybe I want.
I might want to start a photography business."
Oh no! So be bold, be brave, and you can do it. Heather.
Yes.
As we end this episode, I want you to tell everyone how they can support our podcast. Go.
Okay, a couple of things. You need to go to Flourish.Academy and check out the show notes. Flourish.Academy/podcast. Mara's going to have instructions on putting this Venn diagram together. So for sure, help yourself out.
Should I show my Venn diagram? Oh.
Well, that's up to you whether or not you want to leave names or change identities.
I'll change names. Let me
to protect
change the names there.
to protect
Yes.
identities. You might want to do that. Also, while you're at the Flourish Academy, you should check out our mastermind group. We have a mastermind group that opens quarterly. You can join Mara and I for business and life strategies. It's been very powerful for the people that are currently in it, so you definitely want to check that out. Make sure you subscribe, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. And please like, share, leave a review. Leave us a review.
Yeah.
That helps. And if you prefer video, you can watch us at flourishacademy.tv.
Go see how well I curled my hair today.
You can see Mara's hair today. And make sure you share with your friends. Post on social media. It would be really helpful to us. If you want to purchase any of the books that we discuss, like Big Potential or The Big Potential, as Mara calls it.
The Big Potential.
We have a link in the show notes. It's our Amazon affiliate link. It just helps to support the podcast.
Sounds great. Thank you, Heather. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.